Welcome to Talking New York Real Estate with Vince Rocco. Our show is all about the exciting world of real estate and in particular, how it relates to the luxury New York marketplace. But if you are not planning a real estate transaction in New York, we still have plenty of information you can use no matter where you are. Now, here's our show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Vince Rocco in New York, where the state of our industry needs to be transparent. So let's get right to what everyone is talking about. For years, the New York City residential real estate market operated on a familiar formula: inventory, interest rates, and demand. But today, the forces reshaping the market go far beyond economics. We are entering a period where policy, transparency, and access are becoming just as influential as pricing and location. From the growing controversies surrounding the private listings and off-market networks to renewed discussions around a new pied-à-terre tax targeting luxury secondary homes, our industry is confronting fundamental questions about fairness, visibility, and who truly benefits from the system. At the same time, buyers and sellers are demanding greater transparency in everything from pricing strategies to broker relationships and market data. The result is a market that is not only changing financially, but structurally. And for agents, developers, investors, and consumers alike, understanding these shifts is becoming essential to navigating what comes next in New York City. And that's what we're talking about today. And here with me on set today is Bess Freedman. She's our CEO here at Brown Harris Stevens. And this year, at their annual gala, the Real Estate Board of New York presented Bess with the Henry Foster Memorial Award for Lifetime Achievement. As CEO, Bess leads more than 2,300 agents across 39 offices, overseeing one of the nation's most prominent privately held real estate firms. And since becoming our CEO in 2018, she has driven the firm's growth while advocating industry-leading workplace policies and social impact initiatives. Her influence across both business and the broader community exemplifies the spirit of this prestigious lifetime honor. And here at Brown Harris Stevens, she is loved and respected for all she does. So let me welcome my listeners and viewers from across the United States and all around the globe. This is Talking New York Real Estate, so let's go behind the headlines and inside the state of our industry.
Hi, it's Stephen Bailey from Roadway Moving and Storage. Listening to Vince Rocco, you know the right partner makes all the difference. At Roadway, we deliver an experience your clients will love. For specialized services and white glove care, choose Roadway. Want to learn more? Email me at steven@roadwaymoving.com or visit roadwaymoving.com.
Okay, everybody, we are back, and we're talking to Bess Freedman here, and we have a lot of topics to talk about. And Bess, good morning and welcome back. Love having you.
Love seeing you, Vince.
I want to start with private listings. I mean, we have a whole bunch of things we're going to talk about this morning, but private listings has been such a controversial topic and conversation in our industry here in New York City, I mean, for a long while now. And in your opinion, how much, though, are private listings, the debate, really about consumer choice? And how much is it about control of inventory or commissions? I mean, we hear so many different angles to why private listings are important. Give us your take on what you think it really is.
I mean, a private listing, meaning a pocket listing or a quiet listing, which you may have sold in your lifetime
Correct.
of being an agent, they've always existed, and sellers have always, throughout history, had the choice to decide how they would like to market and sell their home. It's their home. They can say, Vince, look, I don't want this on the market. Do what you can, get it sold. Here's the agreement, blah, blah. And you follow those rules. That's always been the case. Sellers have always had the choice. But what we're talking about when you talk about a private listing network with thousands of listings, that's not about discretion. That's not about choice. In fact, I have looked at the Compass agreement, the listing agreement, and every agreement, and point number 3, has a section in there that automatically default puts every seller into the private listing network for 90 days. Now, of course, you can cross that out, but it's the exception, and they've made it the rule. And I think that's more about control, to try to be in charge of the inventory and the narrative. And obviously, it's a fight with the aggregators. I mean, Stevie Wonder could see that. I mean, we all know what's going on. It's not, it's clear that I get it. They're sick of the aggregators being in control of the information. So they're trying to hoard the information and be in control and win this battle. But they're doing it to the detriment of the consumer, because maximum exposure yields maximum price. And so that's really what it's been about, and why we've seen these laws get passed to block private listings, because it doesn't help the consumer, it hurts them. Right. And I think it's gonna be a losing battle for them. But we'll see what happens.
Did I just read something yesterday, and I apologize, I should really know this, but that something is getting reversed in that some law is going to be passed or changed, making that not a good thing to do. I think I read that yesterday. I'm not quite sure.
Well, there's something in New York that the governor is going to sign that's a ban on private listings.
Well, that's what it thinks.
Yeah, New York has passed, the bill has passed, and now we're waiting for the governor who said she's going to sign it, which she will. It will still allow a seller to sell their home quietly off the market if they like. In fact, REBNY has various ways you can do that. There's participants only. Right. You can, not put it out with the aggregators. There's various ways you can do it. But the seller should be calling you and say, look, I'm a private person. Look, I don't want people to know. Or I'm going through a divorce. Or I just don't want it on the market because I'm high profile. And you would say, yeah, I'll follow all those steps because it's up to you. But I want you to know when you don't put it out to the entire orbit, you're missing out potentially on someone who may not see your listing. But you tell them that, and it's up to them. But you don't dictate, say, hey, I want to put it in the private listing network. It's super special, and it's really good to do it this way. And then we can avoid days on market. It's a whole bunch of, it's mishigas. It's crap, As
an agent myself who loves data or access to data, I really just don't understand. But people have asked me my opinion, and I don't understand why any seller would want to give a private listing to an agent. Who's going to know that it's out there?
Well,
who's going to know that it's available for sale?
Well, think about it.
If I don't have a private network, it goes nowhere.
But if you are a consumer, and let's say you could be in any field, you could be a lawyer, you could be a teacher, you could be in finance, whatever. I hire you, Vince. You're the professional. You've been doing this for years. I'm going to trust your advice. And if you say, look, there's this new thing. It's really good. It could help. We could do this. People are going to lean into that. And that's why a lot of times there was a study done, a survey by 1,000 Watts, and it took 1,000 sellers who sold in the last 6 months, and more than 50% of them were told about a private listing network and encouraged to put their listing into that network. They had never heard of it. And so you listen to what your professional tells you. We have a fiduciary duty to give good advice and do the right thing and put our clients' interests first.
There's a word.
Yeah, but not if you're at a firm where they're saying you got to do this. This is the way to do it. People fall. I mean, it's the story of time. Look at Bernie Madoff. Look at Adam Newman. Look at Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes. Smart people, can sell a good story. Oh, you went to Harvard. Oh, you know this. Oh, you have a lot of money. People tend to go that way. They're like, oh, they have this big, market share. They must know what they're doing. But, sometimes those people are giving bad advice. It happens. I call them high IQ morons. There's plenty of them. So
I call them banana heads.
Yeah.
Yes, there are. But when you talk about trying to maximize value on an apartment, okay, if it's not out there, if people don't see it, how are you going to maximize for the seller the value of that home?
You can't.
You can't.
And there's no real price discovery, because price discovery is only when you put it out there and you let everybody know about it, and then you get one person and another person, and then potentially you can get it bid up. But if you're only keeping it in 20% or 10%, you're really hurting your potential to get a better price from a buyer that may be even better for when you want to close, or all those things. And so you're limiting yourself, and limiting exposure is unhelpful to the consumer. And some consumers know that, but it's unfortunate that we have to pass legislation to protect the consumer. But when you have a big company, when you have that power to be able to control information and the narrative, we've seen that story so many times.
We have, and I'm a person that if I can't understand something, I can't put value on it. I just don't get it, and I don't understand this at all. The other thing too is, I get calls sometimes from people, hey, I'm looking to buy an off-market whatever, and I think, okay, and they're like, do you have any off-market things that you can tell me about? And I sit back and I get stressed. I get very stressed, because if I can't research and look it up and call my colleagues and say, can I show this unit or whatever? Who knows about what's available in off market, and why do people think that this is such a good thing?
Well,
I don't get it.
Think about exclusivity, special, different. It's like you want something.
Direct deal, great.
You want something you can't have. It's like whenever there's something, it's like we all want to eat at a restaurant that's packed. We all want to get the Birkin bag because it's hard to get. I mean, it's human nature, right? When you're like, oh, there's something special nobody else knows about. But for the sale of a home, which is typically someone's biggest asset,
Of course.
biggest investment, life savings. We have an obligation to do the right thing, regardless of all this like murkiness and narrative, to tell them the right information and say, look, if you want to get the highest price, you really want maximum exposure. It's the right thing to do. And I don't know what's going to happen with this whole private listing network. We'll have to see, but I think it's really eroded trust. And I think it's going to end up hurting our industry even more. You talk about lawsuits with NAR and all that stuff. I think get ready. There's going to be a lot more of that down the road.
I was going to talk to you in a little bit about that. I mean, the regulation changes and the stuff that we are going through in the last year and a half has been amazing, not in a good way. But then you snap onto that, the private listing or the off-market stuff. It's really all about control, as you say. But again, I don't get it, because if I'm a listing agent, which I am predominantly, I want my sellers to get maximum exposure.
Of course.
Okay? And it's not a matter of not wanting to work hard by calling everybody I know to tell them I have this private listing. Who's got time for that?
No, I mean, you want to, I do think that when you do the right thing happens. And sometimes it takes time and it's incremental. You don't just turn around and see everything perfect. We have to work towards things that matter to us. And this is very different, obviously, but it's like with the fight for civil rights and Martin Luther King, he didn't just march once. He didn't, he consistently fought and said the right things and did the right things and cared about the right things over and over, despite having all these headwinds. And that's everything in life. Right now, this is about protecting the consumer and doing the right thing for the industry, but we have to constantly keep doing it. We don't do it once and walk away. You have to keep fighting for the things that matter. And you're always going to have those monsters out there that are looking to make more money and get more power and more market share for all the wrong reasons. But that doesn't mean that, the fight of David and Goliath, it's interesting, who wins. Sometimes it's not always the big guy that wins. So we'll see what happens.
Your opinion on, we don't know how it's going to change. We hope that it changes, in our favor. And those who believe that private networks are not good. Let's talk a little bit about the NAR settlement from a year and a half ago. Let's talk a little bit about the FAIR Act about a year ago. What are your thoughts on that and how it's really affected or changed our industry, the way we as agents do our job? I mean, is it affecting us negatively? Is it like not having any effect at all? What is your opinion on that?
I think the NAR settlement is just created, it's been, more transparency, more discussions. Agents are explaining things in better terms and being more transparent about how things get paid. And those discussions are great because for a seller and a buyer, they should know where the money is coming from, the commission. So that's been a very good thing. But it hasn't changed how things really work typically. It's still sellers are paying most of the commission or agreeing to do so.
Yeah, in my world they are.
And the vast majority. So it hasn't changed in structure, but it has changed in that agents are just having a lot more healthy, transparent discussions with people, which is great because we want people to understand. You don't want it to be opaque. You want clarity for people. And so I think that's been a very good thing. As far as the FAIR Act, Che Ose's bill, which he said is going to lower rents and make things cheaper. Rents have never been higher. The opposite has happened. They have skyrocketed. So, we were there. We testified. We tried to explain why this wasn't a good idea.
We were.
There was a whole bunch of us from all the various companies. Nobody would listen. And that's okay. Sometimes it takes time for them to see, but it was really not a smart idea. And the result of that has been really super high rents. People can't afford to live here.
I'm showing a two-bedroom renter at the moment. I don't do a lot of rentals, but I mean, the pricing is out of control.
It's crazy. If you put something on, I just spoke to an agent who just put something on and she has like 5 offers on it. Yeah. It's just that there's such a demand for rentals. It's like, because, people are like, should I buy? I don't know. I want to rent. We're a rental city, and so.
Predominantly we are. Now, the concern I have with that situation is we really can't probably go back to the way it used to be because once you tell someone they don't have to pay a commission, especially a renter, and they ain't going to pay a commission.
It's hard to unscramble that egg.
It's
very hard. Or I say, unring the bell or.
And that's what gets me because if you want to think about doing something different or changing because it really isn't working for the consumer.
That's right.
In this particular case, you really can't do that. I don't know
Speaking
where
of
to go.
which, Vince, it's a good today is primary day. So
Correct.
people should get out there. We sent something out yesterday and vote because
I know I read
your
email.
the leadership, who you put in office matters because they're going to pass things that are good or bad or whatever. So you should read what they stand for, what they care about, and see if you can get alignment. It doesn't mean you're going to get somebody that you agree with, but at least if you vote, you can complain.
Yes.
I voted, didn't work out. But if you don't vote, you really don't get the privilege to say much.
I'm going straight after work. I didn't have time this morning.
That's
'cause I need
okay.
to
They're
prep for
open
this.
till late.
9 o'clock in my district, but I did see your email. So before we get to the pied-à-terre tax, which it will take a conversation, another thing I'm not...
Another pretty little thing, yes.
I'm not really happy about. So, when we go back to that Fair Act, when we go back to that, the NAR situation, I think other than on the rental side, as I agree with you on the buy side, it seems to be working okay. Every seller I've spoken to in the last year and a half has given me what I call the good old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Whatever the negotiated commission is, and then split 50-50, which when you explain to people, and what I tell my students when I'm teaching and what I tell people here who listen to the show, we as agents, and tell me if you agree with this or not, I'm sure you will, we have to learn how to be better communicators than ever before, and we have to learn to be better negotiators than ever before, because the stuff that we have to talk about today, we really didn't have to.
No, you didn't.
A lot was assumed.
A lot was assumed, and I think it was scary. Now that we have to have these conversations, the agents that are uncomfortable with it aren't as successful today because you have to understand to be understood. Like, I can't explain something if I don't understand it, right? So
very true.
Right? So that's why it's been a really good thing. So it's put pressure on our industry to educate ourselves and be able to articulate it. And the ones that have been able to do that, like you, are successful. And you know what you're doing when you're explaining things? You're building trust with these sellers and with the buyers. And they're looking at you and they're saying, thank you, because, I understand this now and I get it. And so I think it's been a very good thing. It's been a net positive.
What really amazes me when I'm teaching, I teach continuing ed, as you know, and I say things, to the class. Continuing ed means, these are agents in the business at least 2 years or more because you have to renew your license. And when I say things and the mouth drops like they've never heard it before, or they look at me like, huh?
Like, what?
To your point, if you don't understand it yourself, how are you going to possibly, make anybody else understand it? And I try to be calm. Like, all right, let me explain it to you. So you can explain it to
We've all been in those situations where there's like a complicated concept and we try to understand it. And then what I always do is say, okay, let me see if I can try to explain this to somebody. And if I fumble or I really can't, I know I don't really understand it well. So that's when you have to sort of check yourself.
I totally agree. We have so much more to talk to Bess about after these messages. This is Talking New York Real Estate on the More Network. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
Okay, we are back. So, Bess, here, here's the topic of the day. What impact does the new pied-à-terre tax have on either single-family homes or luxury condos in our town, and even co-ops where it applies? And for example, there's a two-phase approach.
Right.
5 million and above, 1 million and above. I mean, some of these numbers I was looking at and calculating this morning. I mean, this is significant to our consumer.
It is significant. It is a two-phase approach. The first 2 years are using assessed value. Then they're going to come up with market value because our property, and Greg, the smartest guy in the room on this.
He gave me information this morning.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Our property tax system needs total reform. It's based on rental. And it's been very confusing for people, and so, but they plan to reform it and be able to use market value in the third year.
Correct.
And you can look up how it's going to be applied, but it applies to second home buyers, owners in New York City, and there are exemptions for that. If you're renting it to someone who's a full-time resident, or if you have a close family member who lives in the unit. I mean, there are exemptions, and there's price. It has to be valued at a certain amount. So Is it going to be a deterrent? I think so. I really didn't think it was a good idea. They tried to pass this in 2019, and because it's so complicated to implement, they didn't do it. And I think they're going to have the same hurdles. But as Zach Steinberg from Rebney talks about, it's a political tax. It's really a feel-good tax. It was something the governor sort of needed to do to acquiesce to the mayor. And so it was getting passed no matter what. How much money it's really going to raise is a question that I'm not sure. They think
300,
they said
500 million.
I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that amount because I think the transfer
Right.
and mansion tax is going to come down. That number is not going to stick to being 1.3 billion. That will come down a lot because people won't buy because of this pied-à-terre tax, I think. But we're going to have to see. The market itself, since they passed it, has not really faltered. In fact, we've seen really good buying in the luxury circle, and that's been very positive. But will we see an impact in 6 months and a year? I think we will.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. The future is going to tell the story more than today. Today it's just news and people,
It's still just it doesn't go into effect until July.
Correct.
And it's very complicated. And will there be people who reconsider buying here? Yes, already I've spoken to agents who say their buyers are waiting. They're not sure. Is it welcoming for our city? It's not great.
No.
We don't like this sort of a tax. They did a tax like this in Vancouver some years ago, and the luxury market plummeted. We showed that information to the governor. We really tried to discourage her, but she was dug in on it because she needed to pass it. It's a political tax the rich. It sounds good. And remember, our mayor is very popular in New York City. His polls are really great here. People really like him. And so she wants to win in November. She's got a race coming up. So she has to, get along with Mayor Mamdani. And he is popular here. I mean, everybody can have their views on him, but he's a popular mayor. He's doing very well.
No, he definitely is. But, again, as an agent who, my mindset is on customers, buying and selling and whatever else. And I actually have a pied-à-terre buyer that I'm going to be working with starting today, wants to spend $1 million. And I have to have that conversation with him.
Yeah.
Because we probably won't close until July or
August.
$1
million, they should be okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you also should say, if they have a lot of questions about it, refer them to speak to a lawyer and let them be because I wouldn't make any guarantees about anything. They say it's a 5-year sort of pilot program. I guess that this is never going away. I bet Greg would agree with me. You can't do this sort of thing and then they're not going to remove it. I don't think.
You can't. So, I mean, am I correct in thinking that ultimately it will have an effect on our consumer, on our buyer here in town, whether they're, pied-à-terre? I mean, will that transfer to just primary residence at some point? We all know that the value of apartments, condos, co-op townhouses are very low.
It's true.
They start reassessing all of these properties. That's only going to mean more taxes.
It's going to be higher taxes. And what it will deter is people, a lot of wealthy people, a lot of billionaires in New York City come here and have second, third, and fourth homes here. It may deter them. They'll be like, I don't want to pay $1 million every year on this tax. I'd rather I'll stay at the Carlisle or the Mark, or I'll stay downtown. I'll stay at a fancy hotel for 2 weeks. Why am I going to spend? It's ridiculous. Just because people are very wealthy doesn't mean they're willing to just, throw it away. And can't, and they're assuming that they're just going to be, they're not going to necessarily just be okay with it. Some very wealthy people will just stay in a hotel. And I think you're going to see that impact.
The hotels you just rattled off, my pied-à-terre buyer used to do that.
Yeah.
And now he's saying, I don't want to spend $1,400, $2,000 a night when I can buy a pied-à-terre.
Right.
And so I have to have this conversation with him today or tomorrow. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to send him to the attorney. I'm going to refer Peter Grabard, who I know you know. I do too. And he'll explain it.
I think $1 million because it's supposed to be $5 million and more. So, but you'll let
that's
Peter.
His budget. He may want to spend more than that, but Peter will definitely explain it to him. But all of these things, as agents, we sit back and think, okay, I don't want my job to be any more difficult. There's nothing I have done in my career that I love more than this. I love real estate and being an agent. And it just seems like in the last year and a half, 2 years, with all the regulations, all the changes, whether they're political, whether they're whatever, it's just seeming to make our jobs harder. But I'm the type of person that, all right, you want to make it harder for me? I'm going to win anyway. And I'm going to, put another foot forward and say, okay, let's move on past this. But I'm starting to say, wow, what are we doing here?
But well, you have a winning mindset because
you
problems
have
are
to.
gifts. You know, if you don't have any problems and you're comfortable, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not. So with all this stuff, yeah, they're headwinds. They're unfortunate. They're not good for our market, but it makes what you do more valuable because they need an expert to say, this is what happened. Let me walk you through it. This is why you don't want a private listing. This is what's going on with the pied-à-terre tax. You know, you're the expert, and it makes what we do even more valuable. You just have to get fluent with what's going on.
Which leads me to my next question. So how are consumers changing the way they evaluate us as agents, their professionals, pricing strategies, or access to information, right? The private listing stuff, they don't have access to. They're looking at us to be that expert, that counselor, that whatever. How are they looking at us these days?
It's not been positive. Trust has been, like for real estate professionals, has been doing this.
Correct.
And the vast majority of consumers do not trust real estate agents. I think it's like they trust, on a poll, it was 20% not too long ago. So that's not good.
We don't like that number.
Not good.
No.
And it does, look, of course, I was with an agent yesterday who told me he's been working with this guy for almost 20 years. He sold him his first studio, then he bought a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom. Then he made a lot of money. Now he's buying this big something. And he's like done 5 or 6 deals with him. And he calls him and he said, look, you're the only guy, I trust you. You're the only person I will ever work with. And it's because this agent has worked with him throughout time, has given him good advice, doesn't mislead him. He believes what he tells him, and he's proven it every time. And so I would just say that we all have to continue to do that. Even if some people aren't, we'll shine brighter by doing that.
Right, because I think, regardless of, and this is really any industry that happens around us, we are the face of that consumer. We have to show them that, hey, things may be changing, but let me explain to you exactly what's happening, why, and how it doesn't really have an effect.
That's right.
Because it doesn't have to, depending on what the situation is. Are we moving, toward greater openness, generally speaking, based on everything we've talked about, or more fragmented and a more exclusive marketplace? I get a little nervous too because I like to be open. I like to be transparent. I like to be authentic, all those wonderful buzzwords.
You are those things, Vince.
Well, but are we as an industry moving, more towards exclusive marketplace? Exclusive meaning everything
I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's a lot of fragmentation because of this private listing network stuff has created some hidden information, and I think that's not good. It's confusing the consumer, although the vast majority still of sellers prefer the open market. That's a fact. And if you talk to agents, and I've spoken to agents from every firm, I've been on so many panels, I've spoken to so many people, they feel strongly, really strongly, that the best way to service a consumer is to put the listing out into the orbit, not keep it hidden. They really believe that. So there's a push-pull that's going on right now. And so there's some fracture, but yet the transparency push is still very much there. And I hope that wins at the end of the day.
I hope so too, and I strive to make sure that at least people that I deal with on a regular basis have that same kind of philosophy, because as you said before, and as I tell my students or anybody who wants to hear me, we don't have a great reputation all the time in this marketplace.
We don't.
We just don't. And I say that sadly, okay, because we're not all like that. But it really is up to us individually to make difference, to make changes, to make people kind of turn their thoughts around. I think anybody that I meet and talk to feels differently after they talk and meet me.
I know they do. That's what
because
every
that's what you have to do.
That's what every real estate professional has the opportunity to do. They get to meet with someone, look them in the eye, talk to them, give them sage advice, be honest and helpful, and it may have to tell them hard information. Your home is not worth $3 million. It's really worth $2 million, and that may not feel good. It's not popular, but telling the right information and doing that is going to build trust with them. If they give it to an agent and list it at 3 and it doesn't sell, they'll call them and say, you were right. It takes time. People want immediate sort of everything to be great. It doesn't work that way.
No, people will be people. We understand that. And it does take time. What are the risks for agents and brokerages that fail to adapt to the new, structural changes or the new way that we need to be with our consumer out there, with our buyer, with our seller, with our landlord, with our renter?
Yeah.
What happens if we don't do it right?
Well, I think there's going to be a percentage of real estate agents that get out of the business. I don't think it's meant for everyone. It's first of all, it's a tough gig. You'd only get paid for results. And if you don't do it the right way and you are misleading your clients or you're not building trust and your relationships are scattering and fracturing, you're not going to have much of a network. And you're going to chase leads. I mean, the agents that last the test of time and are here for decades upon decades and have people that only want to work with them are the ones that are consistently doing the right thing. And it doesn't mean you don't make a mistake, because we all do. But when you do, you say, you know what, I screwed that up. Let me fix it. You own it. Those are the ones that are lasting and have the reputations where people want to work with you. And the other ones that are like doing this mucky stuff, they're going to take care of themselves. They know who they are.
I remember the last time you and I spoke here, we talked a little bit about, the difference between relationship agents and transactional agents.
Right.
And you were very strong in your, explaining the difference between both, right?
Yep.
And I say the same thing. If you want to be successful in this business, you have to be a relationship-driven agent.
That's right.
You want that referral that you talked about a little while ago with one of our agents who's working with somebody for 20 years. I have the same experience.
Of course.
Or transactional, although they're interested in is when's the closing? Where where am I going to get my check?
Well, I know. Like there was an agent that used to be here, and he would always be like, "Okay, so if I close this, I'm gonna have 100,000, and then if I get this, and I was always like, why are you like counting your money? Like it's like counting your chips at the table. You never do that. Like you just get into the zone, do your job the right way, and let everything fall into place. But if you start looking at it backwards like that, failure. You're not going to make it. It's just a given.
It's a hard gig. We only get paid for when we do something. I mean, I admit that too. Everybody has the same, pressure at times, but you have to put that aside and understand what you're dealing with. Your product is your people you're working with. What is our fiduciary responsibility? What do we learn in agency law? We take direction from our clients.
And you put their interests first ahead of everything else, especially your own.
Right.
And that's not happening with Private Listing Network. They are putting their own interest first. It's very clear. And so that they could get gazumped for that.
Well, again, not to go back to that because it's such a hot spot with me, but I know it's about control and I know it's about, whatever, but how do they think they're going to win?
Well, what's
Bess?
interesting?
I don't get how they think they're going to win.
A lot of people thought that was something like behind. They're like, I have a friend who he runs his own firm here in New York. And he was like, that Private Listing Network, I kept thinking there's something special, there's something going on, something like intricate that we don't know about. He goes, and then I realized they're just doing this thing to try to own the marketplace. They're trying to be in control of the narrative. He's like, that's what they're doing. And
Buy.
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, they may be successful, they may not. I mean, we nobody knows. The only thing we can do is continue to do things the right way. And, we can't control what they're doing. We can only control what we're doing.
There are things that need to change and there are things that don't need to change. And I believe that's one of them. Let's talk a little bit about AI. Okay. I could say that. I don't want her to say that.
That's such a hot topic today.
It's a hot topic.
Yeah.
How does technology and AI amplify both transparency and exclusivity at the same time? I mean, there are people who are very frightened of AI, and won't even go anywhere near it.
Well, I think as a real estate agent, professional, we should be using AI that makes us more efficient to help us so we can do things quicker and, however that is, depending on what you want to use it for. But be careful not to let it replace, like I get it with descriptions. A lot of times agents are using it for that and emails, but be careful not to let it erase the pieces of what makes us human. Use it to be more efficient and send information quicker and get properties similar to the ones that they're looking at quicker and share them and all those things. Like use the products that work, but make sure that you're not losing your story in AI. You want to be able to write a description. Maybe you have a flair to say things in a certain way, and don't erase all of that. I worry sometimes. It's funny. I did a keynote last summer, and I wrote it myself. I worked on it. I had a friend help me. We went over it, and then I was like practicing it. And I called the friend and said, "Yeah, I'm doing this speech." And he's like, "So, what did you use ChatGPT?" And I said, "No, I didn't use it." He's like, "Why?" And I was like, "I'm afraid to use something like that because I'm afraid I'm gonna lose who I am. I'm not gonna say the things that I want to say, and it gets scary." A lot of people use it a lot for everything. And I think you got to be really careful. I am one of those people I want to use it to be efficient for certain things when I want information. But the feeling emotional piece of who we are as people, I'm very cautious because my story, AI can't really tell in the way that I feel it and lived it. And so be careful with it.
I totally agree. I consider myself a good writer. I like to write. However, I will admit, and I've said this before, for this show, my intro and my outro, I write it.
Yeah.
And then I do, like you said before, I edit it and I'll think about it. I'll put it away. Then the next day I'll come back to it again. And then I'll put it through AI.
Yeah.
But when it comes back out of ChatGPT, I make sure, it's a little bit of work, but I make sure that
it sounds like you.
I am still there.
You make sure it's your voice because
exactly.
You don't want to lose. Like if you have a thing that you say or how you say it, you don't want to lose that piece of yourself.
Exactly. And what I'm finding I really only use it for that. And what I'm finding is Chat gets to know who you are.
Yeah.
It's very scary. They get to know.
Of course.
To know who you are. And then sometimes my voice is there when they send it back without me even saying, hey, can you put this back or whatever.
But that's how advanced things are getting.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it gets a little scary and I'm like, okay. But I haven't experimented with too many other things yet.
Well, I would just say it's like moderation, understand it. And also certain clients will be receptive and want those things and some won't. So you have to decide. But for yourself, you should obviously be up to date and know what's going to be helpful for you and use the products that work.
I just don't like to be on the tail end of
no,
progress,
you don't want to be like, what? You don't want to miss out on what's going on.
How did that pass me by? Where was I? How did I not get that?
I think there's a healthy amount somewhere, moderation, and where you can use a little bit of everything and don't just, some people are just all in on AI, everything.
No.
I tease Itzy all the time because she uses ChatGPT for everything. She gives these agendas. I'm like, oh, here's another but it's good. it works for her and it's fine. I just tease her about it.
If you make it work for you, yes, it does. Yeah. She's in Europe right now. I think,
she was in Spain. I don't know where she is. She's someplace else.
Yeah, I know. I saw her last week. She said they were leaving. But no, some people do use it for everything, and some people use it, sparingly.
People get a little cray-cray with that AI.
Yeah, they do. But lately, that's all I hear.
Well, because it's super.
AI,
it's if you look at even just the stock market. AI has been an overwhelming source of everything right now, and it's taken over. But I think there's a little bit of an AI bubble too.
Oh,
so,
totally.
So we'll see. But moderation with everything.
Everything, moderation. All right, we got to take another quick break. We're coming right back. More with Bess right after these messages. This is Talking New York Real Estate on the More Network. Don't go anywhere.
This podcast is supported by the More Network, powered by Brown Harris Stevens. Real estate touches every aspect of our lives, from design and architecture to investing and the economy. Now there's a way to get all your real estate information in one place. The More Network. With more than 20 podcast and webcast series, the Mastery of Real Estate Network is powered by Brown Harris Stevens, one of the country's most distinguished brokerages. Discover advice from notable entrepreneurs, compelling topics, and access to top global real estate experts. Subscribe to their YouTube and Apple podcast channels by visiting getmorenetwork.com.
We are back. So in a market like New York City, who ultimately benefits when information becomes more transparent? The consumer, the agent, the market itself, or everybody?
Everyone does. Transparency is good for everybody. The agent should have all the info. We shouldn't have to be detective.
No.
Where can I find this listing? Those were back in the olden days, we used to have to find things and call people. Everything should be out there for us and for the consumer. Does any consumer want to go to 25 websites to find a home? You want to go to one place. That's why Amazon is so successful, because you can find almost everything in one place. We like convenience. We don't want to go to 10 different places. That's why Zillow, love them or hate them, has been very successful, because you can go there and find the vast majority of all the information, all the listings will be housed there. And so aggregators are successful for that very reason.
Very, very true. Talking about the market today, right now, we talked a little bit about that before the show started. Is this a temporary market kind of adjustment? Because in my orbit, as I was telling you, I'm out of my mind busy, which I'm not complaining about. Finally, for the first time in a couple of years. But I'm really, really busy. Okay, great. What time of the day is it? Literally. But What is creating this? And again, I'm not complaining, but I try to understand it as I'm running.
It's hard to understand what it is because
what is it?
There's something happening. The market has been very steady. Buyers are out there, although there has been a little uncertainty regarding because of this pied-à-terre. We've seen some bigger
and interest rates really haven't come down.
Nope, we don't know what's going on globally.
It's a little bit with the Fed guy who knows what
Kevin Marsh,
do.
I think that it's confusing a little bit. Plus the war, is there a deal? Is there not a deal? What's happening? I think that's uncertainty. But the market has remained fairly robust and decent. And buyers are out there. They're buying. And,
oh, my God, they are.
So the market has been performing well. We'll see how we do through the summer.
Yeah. I mean, I was telling somebody the other week that the spring market that usually starts end of January, early February, kind of, pushed itself into late April, early May.
It took some time.
It took some time, but it's there. And I'm looking at different price points, all different types of inventory, all different ages. It's almost like the flood doors opened.
Everybody
is running. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not a bad thing.
It's good. Various agents have told me that they're the busiest they've ever been.
Busiest I've been in a couple of years, believe me. And it's like,
sign.
wow, it's incredible. But I'm thinking, okay, so don't screw it up. Let's just get it.
Got to make hay. You know that saying. Got to make hay. So.
And I'm back to thinking, when is that contract getting signed? We got to move on to the next.
Got to keep. That's great. It's real estate is like that though. It's not always about the rates. It's about people's circumstances. People are moving. People are moving here. They're leaving here. Kids are coming. Kids are going. Moving uptown, downtown. And so we just seize those moments because people don't go, oh, let's see the market. Yeah, I think no. People say, well, today I'm moving, so I need to find a new home. Right. They base their decisions on their own circumstances. Unless you're an investor, most people don't go, I'm not going to do that.
Why do you think that, actually Jared and I talk about it all the time. Why do you think interest rate is not necessarily priority in people's minds these days as it was for the last 2.5 years? Is it because they've kind of adjusted to it? It's not going to change, or if it does change, maybe it will down the road, or I can always refinance.
Because it's been in the same area between like 6 and 7, and those days of the 2 and the 3 and even 4% are gone.
Right.
And so post-COVID, and I think that the consumer has accepted that interest rates, if you're buying a home, 30 years, going to be 6.5, something like that. And they've sort of accepted that. So it's not because it's sort of like less of a talking.
That's my feeling.
Yeah. And it's historically still very low. It's just that people were used to those, like, I got a 2%, and I'm never selling. I get it. Like you were like paying nothing for that.
Somebody told me that the other day. I have 2.9%, Vince. Why would I give you the listing to sell my apartment? I'm like, because you need to.
Yeah. But people are locked in. I get that.
Like, I'm like, I'm going to go from 2.9 to 6. I'm like,
Yeah, I get it. So, but I think now there's been an acceptance. When something happens and rates go up, people are pushing back. They resist.
Yeah.
But then now it's been more of like, okay, this is it.
The first property I bought, because my dad said, you got to buy something, you need to invest, 12%.
Shut up.
We're talking about the 90s, but
12%.
90s, yeah.
That's like hard money. That's crazy.
Then when it went down to, I think, 11%, I said, oh my God.
And you're like, this 9%. Is a gift. I mean, but that's the price of money was like nothing, and then it went up. So now we're in a place that's moderate. 12% is high. It used to be like 18%.
It was insane. And then I that was in Westchester. I sold that eventually, and my first purchase here on the Upper East Side, a few years later, I got fixed 7% for 30 years, and I thought.
You're like,
I'm robbing the bank. So when I tell people that I had 7% and you're complaining about 5.5 or 6, come on.
But it's all relative, right? Everything is relative to our circumstances and the time we're living in. We have short memories. We only remember last week. We don't remember so many years ago when it was 18%.
We don't. What, in your opinion, should buyers, sellers, and investors be paying attention to over the next, year to 2 years? As we move through lots of changes in our industry, regulation changes, interest rates or not, carrying costs have, in my opinion, have really kind of replaced the price per square foot drama that everybody used to complain about.
Yeah.
Carrying costs are outrageous. What should our consumers, our buyers and sellers, be thinking about in the next year or the next 2 years?
I think it's...
As far as the market is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about in New York City.
In New York City.
I mean, obviously, people are paying attention to if they're second home buyers, the pied-à-terre tax, and what the implications would mean for them if they're considering buying a second home here, and what that would mean. But there's still, if they're interested in purchasing in New York City, there's still incredible value. Prices have been fairly flat.
Value.
So there's value everywhere, and there's still enormous value in co-ops if they're interested, and especially a co-op that needs work, you can get incredible value there. You get beautiful square footage.
Absolutely.
And if you have the patience and the willingness to take some time to do a renovation, you could have an incredible property. So you pay attention to those things, but it's so personal. Everybody's choices are so different depending on where they are in their lives. Like, do you have kids at home? Did they just leave? Are you going through a divorce? Did you just get married? Do you have a baby? What is your situation and what do you want? Like, what are you looking for? That's what I always say. It's like, it depends on the person. Real estate is so personal. You can never throw it and say this applies to everybody.
And it changes with everybody you work with, everybody you meet, everybody you talk to.
That's right. Everybody has different desires and priorities as to what matters to them.
And I tell people all the time, if you really want to there are a lot of things you need to do well to be successful in real estate. But one of the things you really need to do is to listen. To listen to what your buyer is telling you, your renter is telling you, your seller is telling you. And I think sometimes when agents fall down, it's because they're not listening. They're following their own little script, whatever that is, and they're not listening. And I say that because something just came to mind. I was out with a fabulous couple of mine the other night, and this is the second time I did something with them 3 or 4 years ago. And we parted and we said goodbye. I'll see you next time. And he said, one of the things I want to tell you, Vince, is you get what we want. And I said, well, thank you. He said, because you listen to what we've been telling you. And I only say that because I try and emphasize that every time I'm teaching. Just stop and listen. It's not about you. It's about what your customer wants to hear. And when I walked home, it was on the Upper West Side where I live anyway. I walked home and I just smiled thinking, all right, I did my job today.
But that's such a big, important point is, stop trying to push or sell an agenda. Yeah. Don't worry about that. Lean into what people are saying, hear what they want, and help them and guide them. When you do that, that's perfect.
I mean, it's like, okay, fine, I did my job today, but I keep thinking that every day or every time I'm out with somebody or talking to somebody.
Beautiful.
Because to me, that's, how we establish, relationships, long-term relationships. And how we, find success.
It's incredible. That's why you're great at what you do.
Oh, thank you. All right, so I want to talk about you. As I said at the top of the show, you win a Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, those of us in the industry who know you know that it's well deserved. I mean, I'm a big fan. I love you to death. But tell us, in your words, and you've been around the industry for a long time. Before that, you were an attorney, an accomplished woman. What is it about the real estate industry that you can connect to and really feel good about? And not only that for you, but you make all of us feel the same way because of how you are in your job, in your profession. How do you do this? Why do you do this? And what do you get out of it? I mean, a lot of questions.
A lot, but I'll just say that I'm still eternally, grateful. I felt so honored that day. But the thing that has stuck with me and I've thought about a lot is, Hall, who who's a dear friend of mine, forgetting work, he's family to me, and I love him really deeply. One of the most profound relationships of my entire life. And he called me. I was traveling, and he said, "Sweetheart, I want to tell you something."
Sweetheart.
He calls me sweetheart. People used to say, "Don't you get mad?" He calls you sweetheart. No. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? He called me sweetheart all day long. I don't care."
From him, it's okay.
For him, he's my family. So he's like, I was just on a call with all these executives in real estate from every firm you can imagine. And I almost cried, what they had to say about you, and I got very emotional. And I said, he's like, it just took my breath away. He's like, you have respect of your competitors, everybody. And true. So it was, I had to take it all in because, we're not perfect, Vince. We have bad days. We do the best that we can, but I feel like I have a community, and it's not just at Brown Harris. Obviously, this is the strongest culture and vibe. It's like my family here. But I have that, I feel that everywhere, whether it's Douglas Elliman or even Compass. I have so many colleagues and friends, or Corcoran or Sotheby's, whatever. I'm friends with so many colleagues in the industry and have respect with so many of them. It's equal. It's reciprocal. And so I feel that, to me, it's an achievement in that, because even though we compete, we can respect each other and work together and be able to laugh at some stuff. I give a hard time to Compass over the private listing network because I just think it's a horrible concept. I don't agree with it. I had a discussion with Gordon Golub, who's been a friend of mine for a long time. We disagree about it. Rob Refkin, we disagree about it, but I still can respect both of them,
of course,
and just disagree with them and still work with them on other things that we're trying to pursue in the industry.
100%.
So I think that's what it's about. It's never personal. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to, help people to sell and buy real estate and take care of them. And so I'm just privileged. I'm a lucky girl. I woke up today, I was like, I had a physical yesterday. We're not supposed to talk about this as Jews, our health, because it's like almost like, oh, you don't do it, you whisper it. But I had a checkup yesterday, and I everything came back great, and I was like,
I know, me too.
I said to my daughter, I was like, there's no price for this kind of stuff. You have your health, and life is really good.
But I think that's why people respect you for everything you just said. You can disagree with someone on an issue, and okay. But you can, but then you can agree with them on something else, or you can continue to work.
I can find a place of agreement almost with any single person.
Of course.
I can find something that we would agree about. Like, for example, our current president, we both love Diet Coke. So I can find something of agreement with anybody in the world. Possibly, it's possible to do that. And look, you don't have to have my opinion for me to like you. It's just my beliefs are my beliefs. I don't want people, they don't have to. I sit around a table many times at dinners. We disagree on many different things. And I can still understand that you're a dad and you love your kid and you're a great father. 100%. You're a human being. You don't have to have my views to be, aligned with me. That's okay. And that's where the Democrats, in my opinion, really screwed up, because they felt like if you didn't have my views or you don't agree with me, you're canceled. And now the right's doing that too. But come on, guys.
You can't do that.
You got to be more flexible than that.
You can't do that. You have to be open and aware of everything around you. Again, you may agree, you may not agree. You may not want to get involved. That's fine.
But everybody's lived experience is different. 100%. If you grow up a certain way, you may see things that way. And so be a little more patient. And remember, everyone is someone's precious child. Everyone is.
Of course.
And even, so I really try to say that to myself all the time. It's just, life is too short to get caught up in all that stuff.
100%. I mean, so, you are very profound in who you are and what you've done for not only our company here, but for the industry. What's next? How do you top the Lifetime Achievement Award, which, by the way, is a very, significant, prestigious award?
I would say Wimbledon is next. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
And we were talking about tennis just before the show started, right?
No, I'm kidding. Because I would like to be able to, but that would never happen.
I saw games. I went there. I've seen games.
Oh, you did? You've gone to Wimbledon?
Oh, yeah. When I worked at IBM, we used to go to London all the time.
I would love to.
One of our side trips was.
That's an incredible. Yeah, I would love to do that one day. Or Roland Garros.
Makes you. I told you the story before the show started about my instructor walking away from me. But you go there and you say, I really have to learn how to do this.
I mean, those guys the guys and girls are at another, like Sabalenka, Coco.
That's a whole different thing.
The players are just, they take your breath away. Or Ben Shelton, that kid is amazing.
It's incredible.
And Carlitos. There's the talent. It's just, it's really, and if you can, watch Rafa Nadal's his documentary on Netflix.
Okay.
It made me cry. He's really... What an athlete and human being.
Just like we talked about in real estate, you have to have a passion. You have to have, focus. You have to do what you want to do, but do it well. I'm a firm believer of if you're going to do something, just do it right.
Don't half-ass it.
Do it well.
Yeah.
Don't half-ass it. Just do it right.
I agree with you.
Everybody is looking at you.
That's right.
When you do something, and you don't want to look foolish. You want to look like you're accomplished, like you know what you're talking about. And again, with you out there in the industry, I mean, whenever I mention your name, people just say, wow, don't you just love her? I'm like, yeah.
They're like, I would say that to my kids. Very annoying lady, yeah.
Yeah, well, of course. Children are always going to say that.
Vince, that's very gracious of you.
No, but it's true, though. But it's very true. But and I was very proud when I couldn't make that night, but I was very proud that you won that award because, look, it's one award. every year, and
very
only
nice.
one person gets it.
Yeah,
So
thank you, Vince.
it's very nice to get. So to wrap things up,
Yep.
What do you want to say to the rest of the industry out there, to Brown Harris people, to the rest of the industry out there about where we are today, your prediction or your thoughts of where we're going to go, through the end of the year and into next year? How are you looking at stuff?
I just think I think you're a prime example. We have to continue to educate the consumer about what's going on, about the new legislation, the pied-à-terre tax, private listing networks, what it means, how it could harm them. I think continue to be vocal about those things, even if you feel like you're like losing the battle. So that's why sometimes people are like, we're losing the battle. Let's get you. You never stop continuing because you don't know who you're going to impact and help. And so I would say keep being vocal about it. Keep on the right side of history.
Keep being present,
working hard, be educated about the current legislation, what's going on. And I think the market, it's been pretty good, and I would like to see it continue that way. I don't, unless there's some sort of catastrophe, I don't see
which we never know. But
I don't see the market stumbling big time. I think it could be steady. I'd love to see us like really have a great bull market, but I don't know what the catalyst would be for that yet. Maybe some calm in the world would be good. But given all the chaos, it's amazing how well the market has performed.
It really is. And that's why when I asked you earlier, with everything going on out there, we seem to be, cranking it up and leveling up and cranking it up. And I'm thinking, okay, people are frustrated. People are like, all right, I just have to do something.
Yeah.
Finally, I have to do something.
Yeah.
Can't discount everything else that's going on around us. And sometimes I feel like, whoa, it's circling me, all these things. But hey, stay positive, stay focused.
And also buying a home is typically your best investment of your whole life. It's
very personal.
Yeah, it's a way to build intergenerational wealth for your family. It's security, it's sacred, it's shelter. It gives you all those different things. So I still think I'd love to see the American dream resurrected. Oh. It's been sort of annihilated as of late because people can't afford it. I saw a study something like people 30 years and younger, the vast majority of them are living with their parents still. Yeah. 20 to 30, whatever. Yeah. Once they get out of college, they go back home again. Yeah. And I get that.
I do too.
But we should be able to help our young people to buy their first home.
But going back to what I mentioned before, my dad 31 years ago said to me, you got to buy the American dream.
Dad was right, man.
And Dad was right because that's how he thought. That's how my mom thought. They bought their house, did whatever. And now, 30 years ago, you got to buy the American dream. And so what did I do? I bought the American dream. At what I thought was, of course, it was the first place I bought, sold it, and then move on.
But it was a good investment, and that's the thing as well, is that you're parking money there, but you're also living there.
Of course.
And having sacred
I was
space.
working hard in corporate America and was able to do it, and so I did it. And it's part of what we do. And, to end on the note that we here as professionals in this industry are here to be the coach, the mentor, the teacher, hold your hand and take you through the process. Because as you know, most people who get into this process, especially for the first time, haven't a clue.
No, that's why they want you to help them to do that. But people have to be able to afford to buy their first home.
Well, that too.
It's quite an accomplishment when you can. And also there's pride in ownership. It's even if it's whatever it is, it's yours and you decorate it how you want and it's your space to enjoy it the way that you want in the life that you want. And
exactly.
So we got to bring that back, Vince. That's what I would love to see is bring back the American dream.
We're going to do it. Champagne popping opportunity.
Woo-hoo!
American dream. You are amazing, Bess.
Love
Freedman.
you, Vince.
Thank you so
You're
much
the
for
best,
joining us.
buddy.
We are coming right back with my final thoughts. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, it's Stephen Bailey from Roadway Moving and Storage. Listening to Vince Rocco, you know the right partner makes all the difference. At Roadway, we deliver an experience your clients will love. For specialized services and white glove care, choose Roadway. Want to learn more? Email me at steven@roadwaymoving.com or visit roadwaymoving.com.
Okay, everybody, we are back with my final thoughts. So the conversation around private listings, pied-à-terre taxes, and transparency is really about something bigger, trust in the future of the New York City real estate market. The industry is being forced to reconsider who has access to information, how opportunities are distributed, and what kind of market New York wants to be moving forward. What makes this movement so important is that these issues are no longer operating separately. Policy, technology, consumer expectations, and brokerage strategies are now colliding at the same time. And the professionals who succeed will be the ones who understand that today's market is not just about selling property. It's about navigating visibility, access, and credibility. New York real estate has always evolved through pressure. The difference now is that the pressure is structural, and that is what makes this period one of the most significant turning points in the residential market in all of these years. And that's it for this episode of Talking New York Real Estate. I ask everyone all the time to take a moment to really look inward and ask themselves, who are you at your core? What is your why, the reason you get up in the morning, and the driving forces between the choices that you make? What beliefs guide you? Where did they come from? Your family, your friends, your experiences, your struggles, or your triumphs? Understanding these pieces of yourself shapes how you move through the world. And once you know them, the challenge is always to show up intentionally and to be memorable every single day, but not through perfection or performance, but by living with the authenticity, purpose, clarity, and the courage to let people see and feel the real you. And remember what Bess always says, your reputation arrives before you do. You can follow me on Facebook, on Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok at Vince Rocco. And Norman Vincent Peale says, shoot for the moon, everyone. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. And from all of us here at Talking New York Real Estate and the More Network, to all of you all around the world, thanks for spending a part of your day with us. I am truly grateful. Keep thinking the good thoughts, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.